Sylvia, and today I'd like to talk to you about mental illnesses in the criminal justice system. In order to fully understand the mental illness issues pertaining to the criminal justice system, it's really important to examine how the United States has handled caring for mentally ill citizens in the past. Upon examining what we as a nation have previously done to aid those with mental health issues, it's really easy to see how mentally ill citizens have gone from being patients in asylums to inmates in our prisons. After a brief history, I'd like to point out just how big of an issue mental illness is within our criminal justice system and potential solutions to this horrendous problem. What is mental health? When you think of mental health, what comes to mind? Is it the lady behind you at the grocery store sporting unusual clothing, unbrushed hair, and muttering gibberish? Or is it the person that's tailgating you, screaming and flipping you off when you drive the speed limit? Perhaps when pondering mental illness, you think of common ailments such as bipolar disorder, depression, or schizophrenia. Before conducting my research, those were some of the things that came to mind when I thought about mental health. Although the ailments listed are considered to be mental illnesses, one does not simply get a positive bill of health through lacking a medical diagnosis. Positive mental health encompasses one's ability to observe, understand, and evaluate their environment, and to adapt and change if needed, to reason and speak rationally and consistently, and to effectively converse with one another. The word mental really seems to have a negative connotation, whether one is talking of mental health or mental illnesses. The word in itself seems to have negative stigmas attached to it. However, upon looking at the mental health definition, it's clear that mental health really isn't a bad thing, nor a specific diagnosis. Rather, it's an individual's abilities, therefore making mental health relevant to everyone. So if mental health is an issue pertaining to everyone, where in the world did all of our mental health facilities go? Mental health hospitals were prevalent in the United States in the early 1900s. However, in the 1950s, the pharmaceutical companies introduced psychotropic drugs to society. A psychotropic drug is a kind of prescribed medicine that has an effect on one's mental health. Soon after these drugs were introduced, they were widely used in the years following their introduction in the United States mental health hospital population. The hospital population went from 560,000 patients down to 120,000 patients. Why the decline in the mental hospitals? That's really a big decline in how many patients were in the mental health hospitals. However, the medicine, they found out, wasn't truly curing these patients. The medicine was just basically allowing them to function well enough for discharges to proceed. In fact, most of the patients ended up caring for themselves or joining a nursing home. The nursing home population nearly doubled in its previous numbers in the 1960s. As it turns out, the states were unable to claim Medicare and Medicaid funds if they remained in the mental health facilities. So, with the introduction of the psychotropic drugs, mentally ill patients were discharged from state hospitals, making states capable of collecting the funds provided by Medicaid and Medicare, leaving the mentally ill. With the introduction of the psychotropic drugs, the mentally ill facilities were shut down, leaving nursing homes overcrowded, overburdened, and unable to fit the needs of the mentally ill. With no place to go or to help the mentally ill, they actually became flowing into our prison systems. Hospitals and the prison correlation. In the book Crime and Punishment and Mental Illness, it was noted that when hospital admissions increase, the jails and the prison admissions tended to decrease. And when the hospital admissions decrease, the jail and the prison populations actually increase. In this day and age with few mental health facilities available, just how big is the mental health crisis in our criminal justice systems? Mental health in the criminal justice system. The U.S. Department of Justice released a report in 1999 noting that out of all the inmates of the state and federal jails and prisons, actually 16% of them have schizophrenia, a bipolar illness, major depression, or other severe illnesses. That was back in 1999. However, the U.S. Department of Justice released another report in 2006 showing that in the middle of 2005, over half of the prison and jail residents exhibited personal symptoms that would suggest a mental health problem. Clearly, this is an issue that has been going on for quite some time and only seems to be increasing in severity. Crimes of the mentally ill. The National Alliance for Mentally Ill partnered with the Public Citizens Health Research Group and released a report in 1992 showing disturbingly high numbers of people that are being diagnosed with schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or other forms of severe mental illnesses incarcerated throughout the United States. In addition to looking at the number of mentally ill inmates, the report looked into the crimes that were committed. And what they found out was that most of the inmates that were diagnosed with mental illnesses were not there due to major crimes. Instead, they had committed minor felonies or misdemeanors that could be positively linked to symptoms caused directly by their untreated illnesses. All of the information, the prisons are out of control. All of the information presented clearly shows that we need to actively think of solutions to help alleviate this horrific problem. It was noted that the mentally ill are imprisoned basically due to their behaviors directly linked with their diagnosed mental illnesses, suggesting that we need increased public access to support and care of members of society with mental health issues. While society would be best served if these individuals never made it to the criminal justice system, that is a challenging and suitable for the social services. In my research, I'll focus on criminal justice systems and what we can do to alleviate the problem after these citizens make it to our jails and prisons. Potential solutions. Some of the solutions that I found most interesting pertaining to mental health and the criminal justice system is FACT, which is Forensic Assertive Community Treatment, and CTI, which is Criminal Time Intervention, and lastly, therapy dogs. Social service programs. First, I'd like to point out the programs of FACT and CTI. They're two intervention programs that help the mentally ill adjust to life once they exit the prison system. These programs have proven successful, however, they have a slight differences to their approach. FACT and CTI both meets with mentally ill client in prison prior to their release. CTI actually relies on client contacting them once they're out and provides a limited amount of time, a period of 9 months actually, to help the inmate transition to the outside world. They provide food vouchers and help with providing homes and jobs for their client. They also provide a can-do independent bond with their client and keep tabs by telephones, conversations, and meeting with their clients. They bond with family and friends. FACT, on the other hand, provides long-term indefinite assistance for those being released from prison. The FACT team actually meets the client upon release, just like CTI, and takes them to a residential home. The FACT team establishes a relationship with their client. However, the slight difference is to help the client become independent from their family and friends and form pro-social bonds independently. Sometimes these individuals don't have good family influences, so the FACT team basically separates their clients from their families. They provide housing and food for their clients, whereas the CTI team helps their clients to be more independent. In my opinion, having a program that goes on indefinitely has the potential to decrease the desire of becoming self-sufficient, whereas CTI gives people the tools and support they need in the limited amount of time and hopes that they will become self-sufficient. Therapy dogs. Therapy dogs are helpful to those who need assistance, and they're also extremely helpful for those who are suffering from mental disorders. They're proven to be cost-effective. They help with insomnia, mental disorders, sadness, suicidal ideation, irritability, and depression. They help the candidate adjust to a routine by waking them up, reminding them to take their medicine, sensing danger, and also protecting their master. They're companions that are trained by responding to their client's disorders. One example is if an individual was feeling overwhelmed in a situation and couldn't cope with their surroundings, the service dog would assist the client to leave that social situation by circling their master. With all the information gathered, it's clear that mental health itself is not necessarily a bad thing. However, the lack of services provided to our citizens with mental health issues is. It's tragic that mental health has gone from being a societal issue to a criminal justice issue. With so many inmates suffering from some form of mental illnesses, yet they're lacking the services they need. Society has a responsibility to try to prevent mentally ill from entering our prison systems, a responsibility we have clearly neglected. As criminal justice students, I'd like you all to keep in mind my potential solutions in strongly aiding mentally ill inmates' successful reintroduction to society. However, as American citizens, please keep in mind that mental health is an issue relating to all of us. Remember that you can be the person who makes a difference in someone else's life. You can be the one to reach out to your friend and let them know that it's okay to seek help. It's not a weakness. Maybe you can be the person who encourages instead of locking them up.